here to celebrate our honoree, Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. Let me say it again. Thank you all for being here to celebrate the legend, Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. Organizing this, Cecile and I, has been a real labor of love. We have the people I've had the opportunity to speak with and exchange texts and emails with have expressed such deep love and affection for our honoree tonight that it truly, truly warmed my heart to be part of this. But some of you may be wondering, you know who Dr. Dukes is. Some of you may be wondering, but why are we here in Roslyn naming a street after her? And so this is a historic event. This is an historic location. And so you're going to hear more about that. We want to educate you about that. But in many ways, Dr. Dukes is in North Hempstead, is our Rosa Parks. And so I know that Celia shares this thought. Celia, see, you don't even know it's Celia, right?
Celia, there we go.
I'm always teaching you how to say name. I know that Celia shares this thought, but were it not for Dr. Dukes and some of the people that are here that supported her during the time that she was engaged in real civil rights activism, Celia and I know that were it not for her, we would not be in this position. Yeah. And both Celia and I stand proudly on her shoulders. Give it up again for Dr. Dukes.
So indeed, it is an honor to be able to be here with all of you today as we enshrine the legacy of Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. She is more than worthy of this honor today. She is an advocate not only for fair housing and civil rights, but she is an advocate for young people who want to serve their communities. She supports all of us day in and day out. So this is a moment for all of us to share in our collective appreciation for her advocacy. And it's an opportunity for us, as we all have this deep level of reverence for her, and I see many flowers in the audience, to give her flowers today. So again, it's indeed my pleasure to be here, be a part of this. And as a housing advocate myself, I know how difficult it is to make sure that we can have decent, affordable, and attainable housing for all. So God bless you, Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, and may God keep you.
I sit not only on the North Hempstead Town Council, I'm also a member of the Board of Trustees of the Westbury School District, and I'm joined today by Robin Bowling, who's also on the school board. And Robin also wears two hats. She's also the president of the Westbury NAACP for at least the second time. But both Robin and I are very proud to have in honor of Women's History Month, to have the all-female color guard from the Westbury Junior ROTC program to bring in the colors. Please all stand up.
Color guard, hold, left, face, present, colors.
I'm going to ask that Kevin Boone, Village of Hempstead trustee, come forward and he is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask that Simone Peterson join me. Oh, she has her own mic, and she's going to lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward, march.
I'm going to ask that Reverend Corley of Mount Olive Baptist Church of Manhasset come forward for the invocation.
Thank you kindly, Sheila. Those of you standing, you may need to find a chair. I need all of us to honor God for this day. Hazel, I think the Lord has kept us together more than 70 some odd years. As long as I can remember, you have been working for the Master in his vineyard. Let us pray. Father, we stretch our hands to thee, no other help we know. If thou withdraw yourself from us, whither shall we go? Lord, we are here gathered in this congregation with these warriors of those who have fought in the trenches to honor one, Hazel N. Dukes, for a life of faithfulness, a life of service, a life of meaning. We pause to acknowledge you, Father, to thank you for preserving her, for keeping her mind and her body strong, keeping her purpose clear. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity to thank all those who have gathered here, many who have given their lives for the cause of equality and justice. And we praise your name. For Hazel, Lord, is the leader of the pack. We give her praises today, and we honor her. We honor those who have come and thought it not robbery to be here today. I thank all my colleagues for being here of all different persuasions. I thank the churches and the synagogues and the mosques and everyone here today to lift this woman's name above every other name but Jesus. We thank you, Father. Would you just pause to look over the battlements of glory and pour out a blessing for Hazel that she will not have room enough to receive. And Lord, at the end of the day, that your name would be praised. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Corley. And church is at 10 o'clock tomorrow. You'll be there for a long time if you come. But it'll be well worth it. Bless you, Pastor. We're going to get on with the ceremony, but we must thank some of the people that made this event happen today. I first want to thank the very dedicated employees of the Town of North Hempstead who made this a special day for honorees. If I can just point your attention to some of the gentlemen over here from the Highway Department, led by Superintendent Doug Schlafer. We cannot forget, and it's just so great having them. It took the burden off of me and Legislator Bino to have Community Services Director Commissioner Kimberly Corcoran-Galante. Kimberly was here with her daughter, who's celebrating her 13th birthday today. I'm not quite sure where she is. And her sidekick, Stephanie Heaney-Guarilia, Julie Chin. I also want to make special mention of, from the Highway Department, of John Aronson, who designed and created the street signs you're going to see in just a couple of minutes, honoring Dr. Dukes. They are nothing short of beautiful. The Parks Department Commissioner, Kelly Gillen, and her team. And way in the back there. And so you better be good in your best behavior, because he's going to capture everything on film. Alan Ginsberg, who is filming this to be broadcast later on the town station, Channel 18. Alan is also the editor-in-chief of the award-winning documentary Defining Moments about our honoree, Dr. Hazel Dukes.
I would also like to take the opportunity to thank the county departments that supported this event. I'd like to thank, in particular, Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, the commanding officer of the 6th Precinct, Inspector Mark Vitale, the officers, the crossing guards who assisted us today. And I would also like to thank the Joycetta and Julius Pierce African American Museum of Nassau County. I'd like to also thank the Director of Communications, Danny Schrafel, and of my office, Austin Johnson and Thomas Yepes. I would be remiss if I left here today without thanking Roslyn Gardens Co-op Board and Property Manager, Lana Copetta, and a deep, sincere gratitude I'd like to express right now for the Village of Roslyn Mayor and trustees who were very excited to be a part of this event today. Thank you.
Council members, don't worry, I didn't forget you. I most especially want to thank each of the members of the town council who have supported this event with both their votes and their attendance here today. So thank you, Town Council of North Hempstead. And we will, in a couple seconds, acknowledge you all individually. I just want to also say, Dr. Dukes, you should know that the Roslyn Gardens Co-op was especially supportive and enthusiastic about our hosting this event right here today. So we want to recognize some of the elected officials and other dignitaries who are joining us today. And this may take a couple of hours, but we'll be done in time for dinner. Let's start with where'd my colleague go? With our Attorney General, Letitia James. And sitting next to her, former Governor David Patterson. And just a bit of trivia here, okay? Who are the only two people on this dais who swore in Robert Troiano to be a council person? Come on, group. Tish James, David Patterson. The Chief of Staff for Governor Hochul, Stacy Lynch. Assemblywoman Gina Solitti. Assemblyman Chuck Levine. New York State Senator and my Senator, Kevin Thomas. And Barbara Brown, who's repping Assemblywoman Taylor Darling. No, but Barbara Brown is here.
And here today, representing the county, we have David Franklin of County Executive Bruce Blakeman's office. And we have Comptroller Elaine Phillips. Legislator Deborah Millay. And all the way from Suffolk County, we have Legislator Cara Hahn. And here, representing the village of Hempstead, we have its mayor, Waylon Hobbs Jr. We have trustee Kevin Boone. Trustee Clariona Griffith. And we have Roslyn Mayor John Durkin. And Roslyn Board of Trustees, Sarah Drell.
So I'm getting crib notes. Can I tell you that a couple weeks ago I turned 70, and my memory's starting to go, okay? So excuse me, Tom DiNapoli, New York State Controller. And the controller just forgave me and said, that's why I like Sealer better.
And we have with us the Honorable John Kamen. The Honorable Anna Kaplan. And we have former Majority Leader, the Honorable Malcolm Smith. And we have joining us today, the Honorable Aisha Brantley. Nassau County Family Court Judge.
And now I have the honor of introducing my colleagues in the Town Council, Supervisor Jen DeSena, Councilman Peter Zuckerman, Councilwoman from the great area of Port Washington, Marianne Del Monte. So everybody from Port Washington, remember that when we vote for Seal and I again, I'm your guy. Councilwoman Veronica Lurvy. And in case there's any Great Neck residents here from the great area of Great Neck. Councilman Dennis Walsh from Mineola. And I don't know that he's here, but I don't want to leave out Councilman David Adami, who's been very supportive of us doing this event. And the people that for some reason, people love this man more than any other elected official in the town of North Hempstead. I don't really understand it because he is the tax receiver. But watch the applause he gets when I say, "Welcome, Charlie Berman!"
And so I'm gonna take a stab at this, and so if I miss anyone, charge it to my head, not my heart. I'd like to recognize clergy who are also in attendance, and we have Bishop Lionel Harvey from the First Baptist Church of Westbury. We have Reverend Cedric Easy, representing Union Baptist Church. And we have Malcolm Bird, Mother AMD Zion, Harlem, New York. And we have Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, pastor, Monty Chandler, Reverend Chandler. Reverend DeGraff from Harlem. And we have Reverend Hawkins from Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Oh, Keith, right, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Reverend Haggard, thank you.
And we also have Chaplain Dr. Ingrid B. Lewis, and she is in representation as the Chief Advisor for New York City Mayor Adams. Judge Sweeney.
Okay, thank you, everybody. But you forgot one person that's really very important to me, and I'm not getting in trouble for you all, okay? Let me acknowledge and recognize New York State Democratic Chair Jay Jacobs. I did want to prepare this morning to bring up Attorney General Letitia James. So I went to the internet to Google what I could learn that I didn't already know about her. And it says, the first thing it says about her is that she's a lawyer. I thought, well, yeah, that's some lawyers clapping out there, I know. But, and don't take any insult about this, all your attorneys out there, but she's more than just a lawyer. She's our Attorney General, right? But the Attorney General it's just a title. It's a position. It doesn't say who you are. It doesn't speak to what you are. It doesn't speak to what you stand for. And so the simplest way that I can introduce our Attorney General is to say that she is a fighter for the people. Please bring up our Attorney General, Letitia James.
So if you weren't mentioned during the VIPs, please rise and stand up. If you're a member of the NAACP, make some noise. If you paid your dues, make some noise. Oh, stop it. Get out of here. Get out of here. I want to recognize another champion of justice, someone who I work very closely with and someone who I admire greatly. Give it up for Fred Brewington. Yeah, definitely. And the Senior Vice President of the NAACP, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Paula Inmet is here as well. Paula. Also want to give it up to my very good girlfriend from Brooklyn, Karen Boykin Towns. And a couple that has obviously been instrumental all throughout the state of New York, who has introduced us obviously to the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rodneys. The Rodneys are here. Another good girlfriend from Brooklyn, Jackie Williams. And my good friend, Robert Zimmerman. Yay! Come on, give it up. And to my sisters in the back, where's the Deltas at? Woo! Yes. That's right. Okay. Okay, the Divine Nine, where are you? There we go. Okay. Woo! Ingrid, we see you. We outnumbered. Y'all are outnumbered. Cut it out. You're outnumbered. They're standing in the back. They're ready to go. So good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me today to join you. It is such an honor to be with all of you today as we recognize the indomitable Hazel N Dukes. Yes! Affectionately referred to as Mama Dukes. I truly appreciate this honor to be here today as we rename Edward Street to Dr. Hazel Dukes Way. And it is especially appropriate that this ceremony is held in front of her former residence, Roslyn Gardens. She is a woman who has inspired, she's empowered, she's elevated women and people of color, not only in the state of New York, but all across this nation. And she established her reputation as a civil rights activist after moving to Roslyn Heights. Upon moving here, she felt the sting of systemic discrimination and school inequities. And so Dr. Dukes went to work organizing and leading the fight against housing discrimination. And we all know that issue continues to this day. She was instrumental in helping to elect the first Black member of the Roslyn School Board. But that was only the beginning of her career as a difference maker, a change maker, and a crusader for justice. Her work as a leader within the NAACP is legendary. And in Brooklyn, we just refer to her, sorry pastors, just as a badass. Pray for me, God's still working on me. It's all right. That's all right. So from her local activities here in Roslyn, Mama Dukes rose through the ranks and served as president of the NAACP, the New York State Conference, and as a member of the NAACP National Board of Directors. And throughout this service, she has been a leader and a mentor to countless social justice warriors, such as myself and the countless number of other attorneys who are here today. As a young girl, she grew up next to the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks. And later, she was personally encouraged to be a crusader by Miss Parks and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mama Dukes, I speak for everyone who knows you and who has benefited from your commitment to equality and in congratulating you on this honor. And as the first African American and first Black woman to serve as New York's Attorney General and the first Black woman elected statewide and citywide, I know that I would not be in this position but for you. But for you. I know I stand on the shoulders of Mama Dukes and people who have struggled and sacrificed and who died and bled to build a better and a more just community for all of us and a more perfect nation. Because of heroes and sheroes like Mama Dukes, we have risen to new heights and broken countless barriers in service to our community and our state. Because you, Mama Dukes, you set the path, you trotted the stony path, and you paved the way. You smoothed so many of the rough edges that we now sit at the table of power. You inspire all who have had the privilege to see you in action. You defy time and space and age and all matters of means and others who get in your way. And we thank you for being such an unstoppable force and a champion for social and racial justice. And now, all little girls, black and white and Asian and Latino, as they look at the sky and they look at that sign and they look at that name and they learn their history, they too will reach for the stars. God bless you and congratulations.
Thank you, Attorney General. I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge a friend and another warrior, Tracy Edwards, Long Island Regional Chair of the NAACP. And can we get all of the current presidents of the NAACP to stand, please? I see some past presidents out there too. Go on and stand as well. Thank you for all of your hard work. At Long Island's own, Town of North Hempstead's own, Tom DiNapoli, our state comptroller.
Robert Sealer really is my favorite. Really is my favorite. It is great to be here with all of you on this beautiful day. It is great, Hazel, to see so many friends from all across our state here to be with you. But we in North Hempstead claim you for our own, all right? I am proud to be here, not as your state controller, though your pensions are in good shape in spite of what's going on. I want to mention that. It's a tough time. But I'm very proud to be here as one of the early graduates of the Hazel N. Dukes School of Civic Engagement and Political Activism. As some of you know, I grew up not too far from here. In fact, my grandmother lived at 51 Edward Street. So I know this community well. And when I first started getting active, as many of us did, back in the late 60s and early 70s, I grew up in a household where being politically active wasn't necessarily what was encouraged. Voting was encouraged, but going to demonstrations and not going to school on days of moratoriums and things like that wasn't encouraged. And I looked for mentors and role models and people to guide me on my way. And how fortunate for me that I lived just down the road. And I got to know a woman of strength, a woman of valor, a woman who had already made her mark on the big issues of the day that were playing out locally, and you're going to hear more about that on the housing issue in a bit. But someone who also saw political involvement, including being involved in the Democratic Party, as a pathway to make the community stronger and better. And this woman of strength and valor spent a lot of time looking out for the young people that wanted to come forward and be involved. And it was a blessing for me that Hazel Dukes saw something in me. I'm not quite sure what she saw in me, but she saw something. And right, and when I said I want to run for a seat on the Board of Education in the school district right next door, which wasn't really done before because the vote was changed to 18, wasn't expected that 18-year-olds still in high school would say, I want to run for a seat on the Board of Education. Hazel Dukes pulled me aside and said, you go for it. I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to mentor you in any way that I can. And she did that. And she was one of the few adults who took an interest in me early on. And people sometimes forget that back in the day when our party was trying to make a difference here, and I'm not making this a partisan speech, I'm just giving a little bit of the history, the legendary names that were transformative leaders here on Long Island and in Nassau County. Eugene Nickerson, Jack English. Names of people, right, Hazel? A lot of folks don't remember. But who was by their side making a difference? Who was vice chair of the party and making sure that our party would be an inclusive and a caring party? It was Hazel N. Dukes who was there fighting the fight alongside Gene Nickerson and Jack English and so many others. So I'm really here, because I got the title, I got to get the microphone, but I'm really here on behalf of so many of you who have your own stories about Hazel Dukes taking an interest in you and supporting you and helping you fulfill your dreams and holding you up to high expectations. Right? Hazel is a good mentor, but a tough one, because she'll call you out if you're not doing it quite the right way. And she's done that with me. She's done that with all of us. But that's how her work has made such an incredible difference, and will always make such an incredible difference. You know, we're also celebrating Hazel's birthday yesterday, right? More beautiful as each year goes by. But you're going to be hearing in a few moments from Marge Rogatz, who's a very special person in the life story of Hazel Dukes. And I do want to point out that today is Marge Rogatz's birthday. So we have to say happy birthday to Marge as well. So it really is a privilege to be here with all of you as we celebrate an incredible person. This street naming that we're about to unveil, Dr. Hazel Dukes, they left the N out because it was too long for the sign, but that's okay. We all know the N is there. The Hazel N. Dukes Way. What is Hazel Dukes Way? It is a way of faith, first and foremost. Her church is here, Roslyn. Let's keep that in mind. It's a way of determination. It's a way of compassion. It's a way of empowering people. Hazel has made a difference and has fought the fight for diversity, equity, inclusion before we even coined the phrase. She was there doing it, and you know what? She's going to be doing it for a long time to come. Hazel Dukes, I love you. We all love you. What a special day. You've been honored everywhere with degrees and awards and plaques, and you know what? I have a feeling you're more excited about your hometown here in Roslyn honoring you more than any other honor you've had in recent years. But we love you just as much as you love us here. Give it up again for Hazel Dukes.
Before we have Marge Rogatz introduce our honoree today, I just wanted to ask my favorite former governor, David Paterson, to come join me. And I've always felt a very special kinship toward David because he represented in Albany for a long time the district that I was born into in Harlem. And then when my father brought us out to Westbury and then moved back to Harlem, he was represented again by David Paterson. Former New York State Governor David Paterson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. On a day like this, when we talk about the history of civil rights and the history of trying to make America's credo really be in reality what it stands for, we often talk about the famous Supreme Court cases, and of course, the most famous of them is Brown versus the Board of Education of Kansas in 1954. But there was a case that preceded it that had a strong influence on how Brown was decided, and it was the case of Shelley versus Kramer in 1948. And that case basically disallowed public support for restrictive covenants. In other words, if you sell this property to an Asian or an African American, it won't be allowed under our laws. Now, those covenants were struck down by the Supreme Court and reaffirmed by the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but quietly they continued, and they continued a great deal here on Long Island. And that was really the focus and the epicenter of the fight for fair housing in the many communities that are in Long Island. When I went to school in Long Island. The reason that I went to school there is because the New York public school system would not allow a disabled student in the class with the other students. So my mother wasn't having it, and she decided to move the family to Long Island, and that's where I went to the Hempstead public school system because they were allowing it. My father was trying to start a political career in New York. He got moved to Long Island with the rest of us, so you can see he was running the show in that relationship. Those were subpoenas, by the way. So that was why I went to school here, and believe it or not, in 1962, it became clear that in the Hempstead public school system, there were 6 elementary schools, but only 5 of them were integrated. So while they were integrated as a whole, they were keeping one school separate for reasons that you probably could conjecture yourself. And at that point, people like Hazel Dukes and my mother threatened to sue the school system if they didn't change it. And finally, pursuant to a negotiation in 1963, there were 11 of us who were sent to that school, Fulton School in Hempstead, New York. And 50 years later, they named it after me. But like all of our achievements, they couldn't have been done without those who struggled unremittingly and courageously over the last 200 years. Those who were Asian, Black, Hispanic, and white, but believed in freedom. They fought against injustice. They fought against discrimination. They fought against racism. And they were able to build a national movement that was directed to receive economic and social justice for those of color and anyone else in this country. And it wasn't just what they did for the specific classes of people, it's what they did for America. That's so right. Now, that's right. When we say our nation indivisible, it really is indivisible as opposed to what it was when they wrote it. And so this is why we're all here. This is why we salute one of those great leaders, Hazel Dukes, who time and time again, whether it was fighting for against poor housing, against crime, for education, for poor and inadequate school facilities, and often failed actions of government that left people divided from others, it's people like Hazel who time after time came out and supported us. And so when I became governor, I was able to choose the day that I was sworn in, and I chose March 17th. Everybody thought it was because of St. Patrick's Day. No, it was because it was Hazel Dukes' birthday. Thank you very much.
Hazel was accompanied by a great many number of people from Long Island, Roslyn, North Hempstead area, Lakeview area, Hempstead area, in the things that she did. She may have been the leader, but she needed some support to do that. One of those people is here with us today, someone who I first met 23 years ago, and I've been proud to have an affiliation and association with her since then. She's going to introduce Hazel, as was said by Controller DeNapoli. What's your name again? Controller DeNapoli. Today is her birthday. It is her 95th birthday. Please join us, Marge Rogatz. I just want you to know that it's her 95th year, but she is still actively working, and she's a very strong board member of Erase Racism. She continues the fight.
Thank you, Robert. Hazel and I have been together in one way or another since she was in her 20s and I was in my almost to be 30s. We're 4 years apart and 1 day apart, and we've celebrated together again and again. We've cried together, we've stormed together. And everybody here knows there's no one like Hazel. Hazel has thousands of friends across the country, across the world. She has thousands of friends for every decade. I want to know anybody else here who's from her 20s. Anyone? No. Well, if my husband were here, and he wishes he were, he would be sitting there and saying, yes. Hazel and I are among the lucky. There is nothing easier in a hard way than fighting racism. Nothing. And I've known that for many years. During the civil rights movement, I was a special assistant to Jim Farmer. When I got out of college, I was on the national board of the Urban League. And this is a history that I and my family, which is interracial, and everybody is part of our family. And that is what we would wish to give our children, all of them. One of the things that would help, do you know that Hazel wrote a book? Okay, I just want to mention, for those of you who don't, that Hazel and Dr. Francis Brisbane, with Francis is the former dean of the School of Social Welfare at Stony Brook. And she worked with Hazel by interviewing her for this book. The book was published in 1990, and it should be in every high school classroom in the country. Every high school classroom. Those of us who were lucky enough to have Hazel at our side learned from her every day. And Hazel is the first one who would tell you she learned from everybody she was with. And she did. She really did. She came from Montgomery to Roslyn, and we were very lucky we met almost immediately. And we became friends, and we leaned on each other, as friends do. When Hazel knew she needed an apartment, she knew better than most people that to find an apartment in Roslyn for an African-American person, a woman alone, in any apartment except in our Black community, was almost impossible. And Hazel and I had a plan. We figured it out. She and another African-American woman went with her. They applied. They knew what answer they would get, but they applied. And they got the negatives, and goodbye. I'm sorry, we have nothing for you. And she called me as soon as she left, and she said, Marge, it's time to go. And I called our mutual friend, Lila Schachter, and she and I went in that morning, and there was a big vacancy sign in front of this place, I just should tell you. Vacancies, not just one. IES, vacancies. We went in, and not to our surprise, there were 3 apartments we could see right then and there. We went through the whole act. We looked at the apartments, and the rental agent said, you come back to the office with me now, you can have a lease to sign. They didn't even ask questions of us, nothing. We went back, and I left with Lila. We went right around the corner. We called Hazel, and we called Farrell Jones. Farrell was an African-American lawyer who was the Long Island Regional Director of what was then called SCAD, the New York State Committee against discrimination. Farrell came, Hazel came, and into the rental office we went. We had the armory, and this is the kind of arms people should be carrying, not any other kind, that kind. We went in there, 3 of us, and the attorney for New York State. And needless to say, that day, Hazel got her apartment. Robert very kindly mentioned racism, which I was one of the founders of. We are fighting that fight every day. Everybody in the NAA who was here and every place in the country is fighting that fight every day. Every day. Long Island is still one of the 10 most segregated places in the United States. The one place where we can say we had a difference is Roslyn. And we did make a difference in Roslyn. The Roslyn Committee for Civil Rights, which Hazel and our colleagues and friends organized early in this movement, we made a difference in the school board, as Hazel said. She got her friend John Lewis first to buy a house and then to run for the school board. And of course, there were enough of us to elect him. And it wasn't just the schools. We had to change the schools in another way. We had to elect another school board, an entirely different school board, so that we could have what's called the Princeton Plan. In Roslyn, kids don't go to school in their neighborhood. They go to school by age and class. So we have a school for the very little kids, we have a school for the 3rd and 4th grade, we have a school for the 5th and 6th grade, and we have the middle and the high school. And those kids do not have to sit only with children, as Hazel described in Hempstead. So, but that's our housing, everybody, as we all know. That is where the segregation is. And that is what Hazel is fighting, and Hazel and I are going to continue to fight as long as there's breath. Right? I'm not going to try to tell you about Hazel. There's nobody here who doesn't know her. There really is nobody here. She is absolutely among the most remarkable people who treads this earth, and we could not be luckier than to have her right here with us now. Love you.
Thank you. I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continue to be in my mouth. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I come rejoicing in it. You all sit down. It was a long journey for this day. All the children in my life, my son and daughter-in-law, could not attend today. My daughter-in-law is not allowed to be in open crowds because of an illness that is called lupus. And so with that, she have not had any COVID or any of that, but the doctor still is keeping her like quarantined. And so they are not here. But there are children here. Dominique, you all come up front now. These are kids at my church that I've had. Dominique and Dominique is here. Sandy is here. Come over here, Sandy. Diana, come over here. Leva, you feel like standing a while? Shalita, Marsha, Shalita, Marsha. Now, the older people, my friend of 69 years, Pauline Miles. Come up, Pauline. Deacon Minnie Nivens. Deacon Jean Parker. She don't raise your hand, Deacon Parker. These Pauline and Minnie Nivens and Jean Parker, we have 75 years. These are the children. Oh, Barry, get out of here, boy. Jeff, oh Lord, my godson, he was in the other category. Come on, baby. Come on over here. I want to see, this is a teaching moment about how you raise a community. How you do community with children. Now, these are the young ones and the older ones. And then I got some newcomers. Where's Evelyn Garza? Where's Sherry Bassanite? These are, they're in training now. They're in training. Train a child up in the way they should go. And when they're older, they will not depart. So they in training. Where's Brother Jordan and Sister Catherine? Sister Catherine and Brother Jordan, he's in training. Where's Brother Lloyd and Sister Tanya? I saw them earlier. Where you, Brother Tanya? Come on up here, y'all in training. Where is she? Come on up here, Denise. Oh yeah, she really in training. Come up here, baby. Come up here. Come up here with me. Now, some of you all thought I lived in New York. Yes. I see a brother, Michael Garner here. Yes. I see Anthony Harmony here. Yes. They thought that I, and even Tish thought I lived in New York City. No, this is home. I see. This is home. Oh, Missy. Cisco, get over here, Missy. Raised all these children. She's now at the DOE. She runs a lot of stuff down at the border here. She's a lawyer too. I know. She's an attorney. I have some, Lord have mercy. Oh, but she's in the other category. Dr. Michelle Reed, I got to get her. These are people that have been in my life. These are children that their parents, some are deceased, some are with us, but these are the kids. I'm trying to teach y'all something, Reverend Corley, about faith. Faith. The reason they are here today because I have lived so. That's right. Yeah. And walked so. That's right. That they know that is a better Roslyn because I came through. I got such a sweet note from Dominique last night. I've carried these kids all across the country to NAACP convention. Paid out of my own pocket.
I know that's true. I'm a witness.
And so the day is about you all. Aunt Hazel have seen her better days. But as long as breath stay in my body, I'm gonna fight racism wherever he raises up the head. God bless you. I love you, children. Stand up, Paul and Hilda. They want to know where you all get on calling me mama. They say y'all just newbies around here. That's what they say about you all. But this other one here, there's two people that kind of run my life. There's Liz and Janine. Come up here, you all. These two run my life. You can't talk to me unless you talk to Liz or Janine. and Hilda over there. They run my life. They write everything up and do all of that stuff for me. Yeah, they're my backbone. They see me every day when they can find me. Now these godchildren, you would have thought I birthed every one of them in the world. The oldest one is retired NYPD, that she is. I've carried her all around the world with me. She's been everywhere with me. And now she's in charge of the national NAACP security. National. We are going out on Wednesday to celebrate Mrs. Murley Evers' birthday. Yeah, out in Claremont, New York. Now these godchildren here, Michelle, Dr. Michelle Reed. Come on over here, Michelle. Roslyn Brock, Dr. Roslyn Brock. Come over here by Michelle. Karen Boykin Towns. Jackie Williams. This is my NAACP family and leadership 500. Dr. Roslyn Brock is the youngest chair of the national NAACP, and she's now chair emeritus. And after I got through with her, I got Karen Boykin Towns, and she's now vice chair of the National Board of Directors. Hold up your hand, turn around. And you all can have a seat. Not my pastors. I'm not like my sister. I'm gonna talk about her in a few minutes. I'm gonna introduce y'all to my sister. Now, all of these, my sisters belong to about 8 churches. I only belong to one. But how I got involved in Roslyn, I was sitting in Friendship Baptist Church.
That's right.
And the pastor was Reverend E.W. Terry. Stand up, Sylvia.
Enoch.
Stand up, Sylvia and Herman. I was in charge of the young adult choir. Me and Deacon Minnie was in that choir. So many of them are dead now. Was in that choir with us, but we were singing. We could sing. Oh, we could sing. And so Reverend Terry said, we're gonna have an NAACP membership program. Ella Harris, the late Ella Harris. So we're gonna have that. And all the churches are gonna be involved in it. And so my pastor looked at me and he said, Hazel Dukes, I'm appointing you today as membership chair of the NAACP. Reverend Brown, J.C. Brown. Then we had Reverend Belton, John Belton. Yeah, AME Zion, we know you know. And then we had our two temples in Great Neck. If you see the defining moment, you will see that story. And as Marge said, you all try to see it. About how this small town of black people came together on one accord. Black and white, Jew and Gentile. They came together. Schaefer, Don Schaefer. Weinstein, I was the first little black girl and worked for Jack Weinstein, who made it. But it was the church's young people. And the synagogue, people believed in somebody bigger than they are. That's how we got it done. Not on our own. I wouldn't be standing here today. They wouldn't be naming a street after me today. They're doing it because all of you and all my children I had standing up here. Because they understand when we go out and vote. Where my little children, them little Mathis used to take my little knocking on the doors for me. Isn't it a Mathis still here? Jordan, yeah, that is Francine. I used to go to their house and knock on the door and say, Miss Mathis, I need these kids to put these flyers out about what's happening in the town of North Hempstead. And they would go around and do it. That's what we did in Roslyn. Now here's a woman. Marge Rogatz and Lila Shackton. They all gone. Black children was not graduating from Roslyn schools. They was being sent to the North Shore Child Guidance. All the black children. They hadn't had a boy to graduate from Roslyn High School in about 15 years. And I heard about that. And me and my pastor, the late Reverend Enoch Terry, we went out and got our church members and families and brought them to the church. And we named them POSA, Parents Organization to Save Our Children. Remember that name, Marge? Parent Organization to Save Our Children. Y'all hear? Did you hear the first word I said? What did I say? Parents. Okay, get y'all with me. Stay woke. I see the former mayor of Hempstead. I want to tell you a story about that. I was vice chair of the Democratic Party, and Basil Patterson, and he owned a big firm, David. He went into accounting. Blake Mitchell. They had come out here and they wanted to run. And the Democratic Party denied them. And so James Garner called me up and said he was going to run for mayor. But you know I'm a Republican. I said, are you black? I went over and endorsed James Garner. That's how he won. So the church. This young man here tell me he's 88. Stand up, Reverend Corley. But he was mentored by one of the great ministers that I'm talking about in this town of North Hempstead, James C. Brown. He was mentored by Dr. Brown at that time. And so I'm going to close on this one with my sister. Stand up, Dr. Brisbane. First black woman to be the dean of the School of Social Work at Stony Brook. She came out here to work for this white company, North Child Guidance Center.
North Shore Child.
That's where they were sending all our little black children.
North Shore Child Guidance.
So we invited her to come over. Marge and them starting some trouble. We said, all these black children can't be crazy and got no sense. So we gonna hire some black psychiatrists and we gonna drive them all the way into New York City to see some doctors. And believe it or not, I got him fired. He got fired, the psychiatrist at Roslyn School. He got fired. After we proved that what it was, some of our children ears had been cleaned. So when they got tired, they act up. They wasn't crazy. Had a lot of sense. We brought them to the church with Dr. Brisbane. Do you know we had children graduating from Roslyn High School? One of them, God bless the dead, the McMillans. Johnny, what was Johnny Mae's name? DeMarco. Y'all remember her? Her son went on to be graduating to be a lieutenant or something. Then, okay, sis, back, let me tell them about this other one here. Renia Reed, the mother of Dr. Reed and her son, the big architect. This is the lady, raise your hand, Renia. Yeah, Renia Reed, that's Lakeview, raising hell. I don't see anybody in our age group from Hempstead. I'm looking around. I know Hempstead people, but I'm talking about, I was 90 yesterday. I'm talking about people who lived a long time. 91. Try to teach these young people, if you do right, you live right. He promised you 3 scores, but he'll give you more if you do it every day. So I try to help somebody as I pass along, so your living won't be in vain. All these children that you see, children unborn yet, let's raise them up to a great nation where we ought to be. So these ministers, I've been talking with Reverend Easley. We have conversation about, I hate to leave a legacy out here with all of this and y'all just let it just flow away. Oh, my heart bleeds when I read Newsday. Oh, just about 3 years ago, am I right? That we were still discriminating, redlining. That's right. If you black and come here, they'll show you Freeport and Roosevelt. Yeah. They'll show you some parts of Freeport, not all of it. And they'll show you Hempstead, but they won't show you all of Baldwin. Rockville Center, where I brought Martin Luther King with Eugene Nickerson. Martin Luther King, they wanted to build some houses over there in Rockville Center. The late Lunetta Miller. Where's James Davis' daughter? Raise your hand, sister. Her and her daddy. Yeah, me and James Davis. James Davis integrated the fire department in Glen Cove. How many blacks still there? Help me somebody. Okay? All this work. So all of y'all come out here today to say you honoring me.
That's right.
If you don't go back and do something and speak up, vote up, stand up, I paved the way for you. Don't be afraid. God is on your side. If you do right, only 2 blacks in Adelphi, all through my class. But I made it. I made it. So stand up. This is your day. I paved the way. I've been up and down. I've been jailed. I've been talked about, sure as your bone.
Come on, come
But
on.
I'm standing. I'm standing on the promises. On the promises. That's why I got my 75 already. And to my pastor and my church family, Reverend Shannon, raise your hand. You're going to speak down there. But we got to go now. To my community board 10, all the way from New York, raise your hand. Community board 10, yeah, I'm crazy. I serve on the community board. Still talking to folks about what's right. Trying to give baby, there she is. That's my Donna over there. She wasn't here when I called her. There she's over there. But thank you all. But young folks, young people, young people. It's going to be two things on the tombstone. The day I was born and the day I died. But there are a lot of dashes. And in those dashes, all of them I called up here today. I want you to stand up. I want you to stay up. I want you to make the town of North Hempstead what it should be, what it can be, and what it will be if you take the Lord with you everywhere you go. And you remember my prayer today. It's about you all. Miss Pratt, where's Francis Pratt? All the way from Nyack, New York. Yeah, Miss Pratt. If Miss Pratt used to say, if they call us home tonight, don't want y'all moaning and groaning, because it's going to be well with our soul. We've done what God put us here to do. We fought a good fight. So it's well. It is well. It is well with my soul. I also brought black teachers to the school districts in the town of North Hempstead. One is still living, and she's here with me today. Where's Sister Mary? Where is she? From there she is over there. Yeah, I had them in